Welcome to the Jake Turner Podcast, where we share tools to win in life, health, and business. Hello, I'm Jake Turner. I'm a doctorate in nurse anesthesia and I'm a professionally certified life coach. Today, I'm sitting down with Brandon Thielk. He's a high-performance coach who helps athletes and leaders break through invisible mental and emotional blocks so they can perform at their highest level without burning out. His work focuses on sustainable performance, emotional regulation, and helping people evolve beyond the identities they no longer serve them. Please welcome Brandon.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Yeah, glad to have you. This is like the two coaches. This is great.
Yeah, this is great.
This is awesome.
Good combo.
Yeah, I'm excited. What is the most common invisible block you see in high performers, and why do they miss it?
I think most high performers are like driven by some sort of pain of not feeling good enough. And it's a useful drive. But I think it also can create a lot of sabotage. So if you're stuck in this place of not feeling good enough or having worthiness issues, when you're approaching your breakthrough, there's going to be a lot of times where, your nervous system gets overloaded and you start making bad decisions, or, if I start to feel heavy, my body's not going to perform as well. Right. So, I think there is just like a lot of self-sabotage that comes out from that pattern. And, that's kind of, I like to shift when I get someone that's generally what their drive is they've built their whole career on that. And then it's like getting them to see how, maybe there's an evolution that needs to happen where they can really step into their value and worthiness as is. And they don't need to be driven by like proving somebody wrong or, anger at their dad or whatever it is. Right. It's like these things that like are playing in the back of our mind, our entire lives that we don't question. And that's the stuff I like to zero into. And we start to ask deeper questions of like, do I still need to carry all this pain, or can I work through and process that and let that go? And then align with more of what I want to do rather than what I feel like I should do or what I have been doing. There's a next level to everything. And usually I like to transform it to a cleaner motivation. So something that's more embodied and heart-centered and more purpose-based.
Compared to like an example I think you said is like, say a parent said something or talked to you a certain way while you were younger, or maybe some past childhood trauma, where some guests that I've had or just people I experienced will say like, oh, I'll show you.
Yeah.
You know, what would be a cleaner version of that? Like you said, for an example that you would replace that or reframe that for a coaching client.
Well, what's interesting is they like think they need to carry that because that's what they're used to driving them. But, really it's like when you achieve, a lot of times the achievement becomes meaningless if you're operating that way.
Okay.
Right. So as soon as you like cross the finish line, you're just like, oh, this didn't really like fix anything. I still feel miserable and bad. Right.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, it's because it's like that drive's not coming from you. Okay. So everything needs to come back to you. It's this return back to yourself. And when people are operating that way, their focus is so much on proving the other person wrong. They get that chip on their shoulder. It's an external focus. And so that's always going to leave us feeling empty inside. So no matter how much I achieve, like I feel like I need to go bigger and better, and it's never fulfilling. Right. And so, it's just transforming it into like, well, I've put all this work into this. I'm pretty good at it. Right. Like, is there an alignment that would suit me better where I can actually like feel better about myself now? Right. I don't have to be so hard on myself. I don't have to be hypercritical. And like, it's because it's like built on shame. Okay. So shame is like a really like stagnant, like locked up energy.
Okay.
And that's what creates sabotage is like, I have these things that I don't feel worthy or good enough. And so I'm going to kind of destroy anything that could validate that. And what's funny is like, once you like hit that bar, you start to realize like, oh, like I'll never get that person's validation anyway. Right. Like most of the time they don't even care. Most of the time they're just fixated on themselves anyway. Right. So it's kind of a trap.
Yeah.
And it
sounds bad.
It's a useful trap because it gets you going. Right. You know, a lot of times we need the pain to really drive us, but it is about cleaning it up and it's returning back to yourself and finding ways to be easier on yourself. We're creating self-compassion. And when we're talking about high performance specifically, the optimal state is flow state, which is going to be relaxation. My body needs to be relaxed. I need to be in the moment. And if something's built on a past pain, part of my attention's over there. So a little bit of my energy split.
Yeah.
and and so that creates mixed results. I might have a little bit of a roller coaster where I shine one day and then I plummet the next, right? And so it's this ability to be very process oriented rather than outcome oriented. We focus too much on the outcomes and the results, and we attach our worth to those. But if we're in the process, we can feel good about the progress we're making every day, and that a lot of the results just naturally take care of themselves from that place. It doesn't require that extra like anger or hatred or whatever it is that we're using. And it's getting to that place of like, well, yeah, like if I'm setting out to do something, I might as well enjoy what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
so
like,
so it allows you to enjoy the ride a little bit better.
yeah, that I can't say that I've never used anger before to get a really great workout in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at a certain point, constantly doing that's going to burn you
Yeah,
out.
that's the burnout piece. So the longer you operate on that drive, the more likely you are to burn out. And it if I've built that into my identity and who I am, I'm going to have a hard time transitioning into something else or you know, creating a new path for myself. I'm going to be very attached to that way of being. And so with a lot of athletes, you see like they retire and then now they're like broadcasters and they're like, it's all just like wrapped up in this one way of being because they don't know what else to do with themselves. But there's so many different aspects to ourselves. And as long as I'm engaged in that, I'm not going to be able to see the bigger picture, right? And so a lot of this work is about the ability to zoom out
Yeah.
and get that bigger perspective, and yeah, we can create happiness many different ways, and especially with athletes, your playing days always do end, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
is that going to be like a hardcore depression, or is that going to be a smooth transition into something better?
Yeah. I think something you mentioned made me think of there's a paradox called the good enough paradox. You ever heard of this before?
Hmm.
So where it's someone listening to them heard the good enough paradox is if you're in a situation that is moderately bad, you probably won't take any action.
Hmm.
To where if something is really bad,
Hmm.
a bad job, a bad state you're in, a bad relationship, you'll take action to get out of that.
Right.
So it's where sometimes you get stuck because if things are okay, you could tolerate it.
Hmm.
And I've done this, and you rationalize things.
Hmm.
And so you're much better off being in a really good situation or a really bad situation because you'll take action around it versus the moderate, the good enough situation.
Yeah, I mean the middle ground that's what we call settling, right? Is
Yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable, like, there's some things I don't like, but nothing that's like really eating away at me. And yeah, it's better if we're polarized. It's better if like, okay, like I absolutely need to change. And a lot of times people don't change until they hit that breaking point, till they hit rock bottom. And it doesn't like have to be that way. And so it's just through self-awareness work, you do just get really in tune with yourself where you're like, yeah, this is bothering me. It doesn't have to be something huge,
Yeah.
but it's just like, I want to be very in tune with myself. And so I have to be working through those emotions and letting them go and processing them, because each time I do that, I get stronger, I gain wisdom, I gain perspective, and I feel better. Right. And so, performance doesn't have to be built on high stress, being miserable all the time. It can be in a more balanced approach. And that's what I like to teach.
Yeah. And some people, like you said, that becomes their identity. It's
Mhm.
like, I experience this problem in life. This is who I am.
Mhm.
This is they're always going back to it versus figuring out a way to rewrite their identity. It's like, you don't have to be
Mhm.
a sad person. You aren't this event that happened to you when you were young or whatever stage of life you were at. You can replace it with a memory that was better during that time period or focus on creating a better identity.
Yeah, and what happens is we actually, like when we're in a trauma or a intensity like stress response, our mind's just like it's zeroing into specific details and it's like latching onto that. We're not able to see the bigger picture of everything going on. And so when we're in that stress, we start telling a story about it. That's the narrative we all tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that the longer I think that, I start to build it into beliefs about myself. So now I've taken that event and I've personalized it into like, this is who I am. And that's going to be extremely limiting, because if I'm building my life based on the worst thing that ever happened to me,
Seems like a recipe for success.
and so what I like to do is we go back and retrieve that part of you. We start to shine a light on the bigger picture of like all the dynamics going on. Your angry father, was it you he was angry at, or was it like all his regrets and all the things that have happened to him in his life, and he was just highly emotionally reactive, and then you thought he was mad at you when he's really just mad at himself, right? And so
Yeah.
that's how we start to loosen those stories, is we offer that broader perspective of there's so many more dynamics going on than what you saw or experienced in that moment. And so when we shine a light on it, we can kind of bring that light to the darkness and start to soften all that stuff.
Yeah, it makes me think of like if a parent wasn't around a lot when they're younger, or like you said, or if they're angry, like, don't you think any person out here is just trying to do the best that they can? As it wasn't just one factor. I mean, there are some bad people, however you want to label good or bad, to where they do some bad things to people. But I think usually there's a lot more factors going in. Maybe they're
Yeah.
stressed from work. They're most likely stressed from life and their relationships. If they haven't had any coaching or therapy or any skills and worked on themselves or any awareness, they're not going to build any of those skills to improve their life.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just generational. So however their parents were, you're going to get a distilled down version of that, and then they're going to pass that on to you. And it's up to the individual to question that and ask if there's a better way. Because a lot of these things carry a lot of momentum to them, where it's just, this is what's normal to me, even if it's chaotic and very stressful, right? And yeah, so financial stresses can be a big one. Where a lot of people grew up in households where money was tight, and that extra pressure of trying to provide for other people. There can be resentment towards the kids of like, oh, there's not enough money, but I have to take care of them, and that kind of stuff. And so when we start to internalize this information that like I'm the problem, it's all my fault, like, and that's what we do when we're a little kid. We always make it about ourselves, and then that starts to form that narrative that we tell ourselves. So when we're like hypercritical or beating up on ourselves, a lot of times it's a reflection of that voice of our childhood. And what's interesting is with the nervous system, we're storing information at that level of consciousness. So a lot of people, when they're an adult, they can be like, oh, my parents were doing the best they could. But that's true, but that version of you like doesn't understand that. Okay, so you have to go back, like how would like a 5-year-old think about these situations? And that's what like healing work is you're basically going back and reconciling that part of your mind that's like stuck at that level. Okay, because those thoughts are a reflection of a 5-year-old that didn't know any of those details, right? And so you can say I forgive them, you can say like, yeah, they were doing the best they can, and I can understand that now as an adult, and that helps. But then the root issue is going to be that younger version that, okay, there's still these patterns locked into you, that these survival patterns, and we have to go back and heal those to truly free you up, because otherwise it's going to be playing in the background no matter what you do.
Yeah, because it's in your subconscious.
Yeah.
What would be a way that you would approach that to heal that for someone?
Well, so that goes into my frameworks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which we can get into one of them, yeah, if you want.
Yeah. So that my primary mode of working with people, I call it the lightning process. So
Okay.
I'm obsessed with lightning, and
Okay.
lightning's
Lightning's pretty awesome.
And the nervous system is electrical, so there's a lot of deeper meaning to that.
True.
And so what it is we have access to this information all the time. It just takes slowing down and paying attention to yourself. And so the first step is you're just going to focus on some sort of stress. Like I'm thinking about this thing and it creates anxiety or worry. And so when you focus on it, you're shining a spotlight on this idea, and that's going to be something you're experiencing in your current life. And if you pay attention to your body, you're going to notice there's going to start to be a contraction somewhere. You're going to feel a tightness or a heaviness. And so with this work, my philosophy is that the body is the subconscious mind. It's a record of our past.
Okay.
So our nervous system stores all this information and holds it into the place until we can process it. So when I'm in fight or flight, I don't have time to slow down, right? Like I'm just trying to survive. And so my body kind of stores it away and tucks it away until I can get into that rest and digest side of the nervous system. So that's just relaxing, feeling at peace, feeling safe. And so if I don't have safety, a lot of times I just keep pushing forward through things, right? And so that tension, that's got my emotions, that's got the story I'm telling myself wrapped up in it too, which is keeping it locked into place. And it's always going to be a limiting belief. So I have a negative outlook on that situation, right? That's what's creating the stress. So any stress is just my perspective. Okay. And I have the power to change my perspective. And so as I feel the tension, if I just focus on it with my conscious mind and take some deep breaths into it, I'm trying to create safety in the nervous system. So this means that I might be thinking about this painful thing, but I'm actually safe now. Okay.
Okay.
And so when we create safety in the body, it starts to reveal to us what we're holding on to.
Interesting.
Okay. So you breathe into the tension and you don't try to like look for it or make up something about it, but you just relax into it and you'll start to see some images, memories, things flash up in your mind that's communicating to you what you've stored there.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's where we get going now that we're starting to move the energy, we're starting to soften it. And so all we're trying to do is take it from that negative place to a neutral place. So neutral place is objective thinking, right? That's where I'm relaxed and at peace and I'm present. I'm not worried about the past anymore. So whatever comes up for you and when you breathe into the tension, those are pieces to the puzzle. And my goal is to find peace with the situation.
Okay.
Okay. And so it's like, how do I need to see this situation in a way that creates that peace? I've taken something, I've personalized it and I've made it about me and it's stored in my nervous system. So when I unlock it, now I have to zoom out and have to detach from it and try and depersonalize it. So how could the situation not actually be about me? So my dad being angry, was it just work? Was it just everything else going on?
Yeah, maybe you spilled a coffee. Not related to what we did, right?
You know, but it's like as you start to soften and unlock it, you get this information. And once again, when you shine the light of awareness on something, because these things are all unconscious, actually,
Yeah.
we don't know they're there until we look at them.
Yeah.
And with a mature adult perspective, we can kind of see the different things that may have been going on. And so that starts to loosen the hold it has on us. And so all we're trying to do is dissolve the tension. Okay. So when I get the information, it's like my goal is I'm going to shift this story to a healthier place. And a healthier place is I'm just trying to neutralize the negative emotion. So if I made that mean I'm not good enough, hey, how can I see that situation in a way that doesn't attach that to me, where it's like, that was not about my worthiness. That was just circumstances that were going on. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you start to unwind the story. And as you do that, you're going to get some wisdom about the bigger picture of all the dynamics that were going on there. So you're going to understand the situation at a deeper level and how it got created and how to not do that in the future for myself. Right. Because if I have this within me, unconsciously, I'm going to be acting on these things. Okay. It's going to be driving me in certain ways. I'm going to be reactive in certain ways. Right. So people that like fly off the handle, right. It's like, that's just like big emotions that they haven't looked at. Right. And so we're just trying to get a different perspective on those situations to soften them and open it up. And it does create new learning for us. We're creating like relaxation in the body, but then we're learning about that situation. And this is just what I've done thousands of times with myself. I'm a self-taught coach. I just meditate all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do this own process with myself. And so as we're trying to shift it to that neutral ground, now I've no longer personalized that information.
Yeah.
And so now I'm free of it. Okay. So that's when I can let something go, is my mind understands it. As soon as we understand it at the deepest levels, where I can see all the different angles of what was happening, my mind understands it. And so it lets it go. And now I've learned from that experience. Okay. I've learned the lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're trying to take it from, it's a stress. I'm feeling where it is. I'm trying to unwind it through the information I'm given. And, we could do journaling with this as well. But then it's at the bottom of it. Once I return back to a place of relaxation, that means I'm at peace with it and I've processed that experience.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's really awesome. I really like the perspective of taking something from being negative to at least to neutral, to where that's plenty far to go compared to actually trying to take something very negative in your life and completely make it go the other way, opposite, positive. And to where if you can just make something that's really been affecting you neutral, or if you think about learning a new skill, right? If you just don't do certain things, right? Don't do these things, that will give you a lot more chance of success. And then also do some positive things as well too.
But the the gap though, so it's good that you mentioned that, because that's why positive thinking doesn't work. Okay. Because it's too far to go.
Right, right, exactly.
If I'm in this place of like,
I like my dad.
yeah, if I'm in
But
this,
the
yeah.
other spectrum was like, he always told me I never did a good enough job, you know?
Well, so yeah, it's like if I'm going from this place of like I feel terrible about myself and I'm
Yeah,
miserable, like trying to think happy thoughts, like there's tons of resistance in that because we don't believe it at all, right?
right.
So all you're trying to do is climb the ladder to neutral. Once you're at neutral, now I'm like I'm not feeling the negative emotion, so I naturally am going to have a positive outlook
Yeah,
because I like freed up the energy from the past and now I can be back in forward motion, right? But this is what's creating me being stuck. Okay. And so it's that gap. We don't want to swing it all the way the other way because, and you see this a lot of people that are just kind of detached from reality, you know, where it's like the overly positive thinking of like, no, like, you know, your life's a disaster. You can't like think positive and that goes away. It's like,
yeah,
it is getting into the weeds of like, okay, this is what's happened to you. Let's work through it and process it.
yeah.
And we're going to restore balance back to your system. And from that place, you're going to know what your next steps are because you're no longer anchored in the pain and feeling stuck.
Yeah. I feel like I have a mix of that. I'm curious what your perspective on it, because like I have this concept. He's gonna be on the podcast tomorrow. Like, basically, don't have a bad day, but like I believe bad things happen to me. Though I'm not just naive of like, oh, nothing bad ever happens. Extreme stress happens, but I feel like I have a lot of tools in place to process those things. To really, like feeling a little down at the moment, but I'm still able to move forward.
Yeah.
And just be realistic about how I feel. I'm
Yeah.
not like I'm super happy, positive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's the being in touch with reality piece that's important because that's where you can actually have your next steps is like when you're grounded in it.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Yeah, we want to be optimistic, but like to build that mindset, like if you've come from like a very traumatic childhood, everything's going to be about you protecting yourself. You're going to be very like emotionally flooded, self-absorbed. You're not going to have the capacity to see the brighter future, right? And
Yeah.
so it depends on where you're at, and there's varying degrees to this. And it's more of you just kind of work your way to feeling better about things, and sometimes that is a gradual process. It doesn't like happen overnight, but to build like an optimistic mindset is going to be this ability that I've like faced a lot of hard things and I've worked through them and I've gotten stronger on the other side.
Right.
So I've learned the lessons, I've grown, I've seen the benefits of it. And so I just trust that there is a process to everything and that any problem can be solved. And so you start to, rather having the rigid beliefs of like all or none thinking when we're polarized, you start to see nuance and context where it's just like, okay, I'm struggling with this situation. There's some negative emotion here, but how can I adjust my mind to think more broadly about it so that it frees up that energy? So I feel more relaxed and at peace that I'm just trusting the process that this is going to work out, even though it might not look like it right now.
Yeah. Or use some of those levels of energy to your advantage when you do experience
Yeah.
them, you know, where, again, like you said, being grounded in reality, where, you know, if my dog dies
Yeah.
and I'm super low energy at the total bottom, I'm apathetic, that's not great for getting things done or podcasting, but it's a really good state to heal in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like what that's for. You
Yeah.
know, same thing like we said with the anger, but then you don't want to live there
Yeah. You don't live
for
there.
a long time.
Right.
You know, you want to eventually face reality, use some of the tools you've, you know, learned and dig yourself out of it. I know one thing I was able to do last year that was tough was like I would have these recurring thoughts about like my childhood of like I think of like the first thing I thought was like I won't share it, but it's like a traumatic event, you know, it was like, it would make me like sad or whatever. But if you go back and you can get yourself in the right emotional state and energy, I was able to replace that
Yeah.
with a great memory of like me reaching up to my mom and her picking me up.
Yeah.
And so now when I think of my first memory, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful
Yeah.
if you can do things like that. Not easy.
Yeah. It takes a lot of conscious work to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is there is, well, on some level, you know, the most productive mindset is to see that, you know, in the bad, there is some good, right?
Yeah.
And like all that stuff, you know, that it's not all bad, right?
Right.
Is, you know, there's two sides to everything and we might just be experiencing the bad part. Right. And so, yeah, as you go through that stuff, you know, the work I was talking about, it's like as you unlock it, like you are able to see those other aspects, like you reaching up to your mom and stuff. But it's
Yeah.
like as long as I'm fixated on the other part, I don't have access to that information.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I say, like at least making the other part neutral,
Hmm.
and then opening your mind to other things. But how powerful is that? I mean, I'm sure. I mean, how many people? Probably everyone you've coached. I mean, just like everyone in life has experienced some sort of stress or extreme stress. They probably think about it,
Yeah.
and just if everyone could just take that and release it and turn it to neutral,
Hmm.
how much better they would feel.
Yeah, and that's we all have things that happen. There's no shame in it. I just view it as the human experience. There's
Yeah.
some more intense version than others, and that doesn't discount anybody's experience, right? It's
Right.
like if you're struggling with it, yeah, you probably don't have the tools to work through it yet, right? And so the growth process is finding what works for you,
True.
and that's a dynamic approach. It's like what might work for me might not work for you,
Yeah.
and what I've like found with this approach is it's pretty elegant and simple where we're able to dig through like some really heavy emotions, and it's not just sitting here talking about it all day. We're actually processing and letting it go, and so it works pretty quick. But then it's dealing with the life experience piece. So our nervous system is how we experience life. We're interpreting information through our senses, and then we're assigning meaning to it, and so it literally works for everything. There's no case that I haven't seen that this actually doesn't help move things in a better direction.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's
Hmm.
powerful. I appreciate you sharing that, and hopefully, people listening to this can hear that and apply it themselves.
Hmm.
You were a driven baseball player,
Hmm.
but you still felt inconsistent. What was the pattern you couldn't outwork?
Yeah, so that was a big part of what drew me to this work is, I had a tough relationship with my dad, and that's why I bring that up because it's a
Okay.
common experience, I think, that,
Gotcha. Yeah.
that drives people, like was trying to prove my worth, like that kind of stuff, not feeling good enough. And yeah, so I was a pitcher. I was a little bit of a late bloomer, so I was throwing like 75 out of high school, and then as a pit, and so then I
I don't know anything about baseball,
okay,
just so you know.
but yeah, which is
Dirt
which is
bikes and
which isn't
cooking.
which isn't really like college level, but I was
Okay.
I was like I like loved baseball. Like
Okay.
every year I couldn't wait for the summer. I grew
Cool.
up outside Chicago, and yeah, so it was just I used that as kind of my lab is like, okay, I want to improve at this. And so, I did all the nutrition and working out and all that stuff, but then I wanted to come at it from all angles. And so yeah, my mom started to kind of take me to coaches and, mental coaches, spiritual coaches, things like that. And I started to see this other perspective of the mental emotional game, and it really fascinated me. And yeah, so if I wasn't feeling at peace with myself, like yeah, my body would be tense, my thoughts would be negative, like all that stuff. And so that would hinder my pitching performance, right? And and so it was just like as I like grew and developed physically, like I was always working on these angles too, because I would notice big performance dips if I was really stressed out about something.
Okay.
And yeah, so I went from like being just like an average high school pitcher. I went to D3 outside of Chicago. I just put my head down and grinded, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so I gained about 10 miles an hour on my fastball
Wow.
in 2 years. And I was just like, okay, I want to like go try and give this a bigger shot. Like I wasn't happy at a small school. It was just like I needed that time to develop, right?
Yeah.
So then I transferred to the University of Arizona, and I was just like, I'm going to try and walk on. So the benchmarks at that level at the time was you needed to be around 90
Okay.
to be at that level.
90 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What you're throwing
And so you needed to have some secondary pitches and that kind of stuff.
here. Okay.
And yeah, so I moved out there and I tried to walk on, didn't make it the first couple of years, but they had a club team where I was like finally in warm weather playing year round. The club team which is like it's just guys that want to party but then also want to play baseball, right?
Okay.
It's more relaxed.
Okay. Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so that allowed me to like
Sounds fun.
continue to develop where we actually like put together a 60 game season. We're just traveling to like California, like
Oh, cool.
all over the place. We'd go to the World Series every year for that.
Oh, that's fun.
And so, it allowed me to continue to work at things, and I had to like operate on a lot of trust and faith that I would eventually like get there. I just had to stick with it. And so that gave me kind of more time to continue to develop. And And yeah, so my senior year, I was up around 90 finally. And
Nice. Awesome. Congrats.
well, and for perspective, so like the best guys in the world, like closers, so the guys that just have to throw an inning, they throw like 100.
Oh,
Like
wow.
a starter in the major leagues would throw about 95,
Oh, wow.
92.
So that's really fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Holy cow.
So yeah, it was just, I just kept building off of everything. And yeah, it was like, so my senior year, I walked on and, it had kind of built up to like, I kind of knew they were going to take me. And I had built a little bit of a relationship with the Division I coaches and stuff. And so I go in and yeah, it was just like, they called me, they're like, okay, you're on the team. And, I threw like 88 or something at the time. And with movement, which makes it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like, calling my dad and he's just like, oh, like, if it doesn't work out, like, can you go back to the club team and stuff? And, so it was like every success I had, he would just like try to like tear me down a level. Right.
Oh, wow.
And so,
Dang.
so that was just kind of the nature of it.
Yeah.
And things didn't end up working out. So I had this weird eligibility thing where I was like really close to graduating and they're like, yeah, the NCAA said you're not eligible, so you can't be on the team. So it was like all these things started to happen that were random.
Weird.
And then they're like, well, come out in the spring and we'll see if you can make it or whatever. And I was just under like so much stress and all that stuff. It just all fell apart on me.
Wow,
like when I went back to the spring,
Yeah.
my velocity dropped, all these things. But it was just like my dad was always like taking these jabs at me and then it would just like really sink me, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And so, a lot of my baseball career was like built on like trying to prove him wrong because of that stuff.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then, yeah, after college, like I pursued it professionally. I'd go to tryouts, do all these things, try to string it together. And yeah, it just kept getting heavier and heavier for me where I'm like, I stopped loving it. Like it just kind of, I started to feel like desperate around it. Like I need something to happen here. And it didn't, and so at that point, like when I was 26, I like stopped all that. And yeah, I went into like a depression where I was just like, okay, like I need to like figure out like what's going on here. I'm like miserable.
Yeah.
And,
Sorry to hear that.
and that's really where I dug into like the deeper levels of this work where, I was kind of skimming the surface of it, but I'm like, okay, I just dug until like I found my answers. Right. And so now it's like, I've like found peace with my dad. We have a pretty good relationship. I've let all that stuff go. I don't feel like I need to prove anything, that kind of thing. So it was just like all these like steps like kept leading me down this road, like deeper back into like, okay, I have to surrender that motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause that's what was like making me suffer. Right. And it was
sense.
also killing my performance.
Yeah. It was making you suffer in like so many ways, like you said, there's no end to that game.
Yeah.
I mean, if your fulfillment's not coming from you,
Yeah.
and you're expecting to be on like how someone else reacts, just because you can't control how someone else is going to react.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's like one of the worst things we can do is take our primary needs we have and put that on someone else. Let alone one, it creates a lot of pressure on them, even if we're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But then two, it makes us, on the contrast, very powerless.
Yeah.
Because you can't control someone else reacts, and then it's like, what do? You're almost destined to fail in that sense.
Well, that's the whole goal of it, is to actually get your power back, right?
Yeah.
If it's all external, if I'm dependent on the validation or approval or whatever, it's a losing game because like I can't control any of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you can master the internal game, I think that's everything. I think honestly,
Yeah.
Because you can't control the external environment. I can move this cup or
Yeah.
so, very 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 basic things, right? I can in a good sense I can serve you, right? I can pour you some water, or create a podcast to encourage people, right? But the feeling of contributing and growth and being fulfilled in that has to come from me in myself. So
Yeah. So some hard lessons to learn that, and that's part of why I do this work.
Well, at least you learn them though. It can
Yeah.
help other people teach those lessons
Yeah.
because some people will never grow or learn those lessons. And you can see people, in all ages of life, and people, way later in life, and talk about the same thing they're talking about 40 years ago.
Right.
And like, oh, but I'm over it. And like,
Are you really?
are you though?
Or yeah, like
Are you though?
the good old days back in high school. And
Yeah,
stuff.
right,
It's
right.
like all that. It's just stuck energy. It's just there was a point where you stopped like looking forward to the future and you thought this is all there was for me, and that's usually going to be built on some disappointments and letdowns that you couldn't get through.
Yeah.
And so that's really where we go is like, the most painful things like hold all the gold for you if you're willing to go into them and unlock that, right? Is because that's what gives you your freedom.
Yeah. And then you can create your new future,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do that like holding on to the past. I want to I don't know how to make a video of it, but it's like, it really is like trying to like drive your car, but you're looking in the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be looking in the rearview mirror and driving forward.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
Well, and that's the way I kind of view emotions in the nervous system too, is like, if you've got it built on like fear, anxiety, shame, things like that, you're like trying to move forward. So you're like pushing the gas, but then you're also like, you keep pressing the brake too, right? Cause it's all that resistance just comes up and like stops you.
Yeah. It's like the parking brakes
Yeah,
on. And
yeah.
you're like, why am I not getting anywhere?
Yeah,
Like you maybe moving a little bit, but nothing like you could if you could just put that parking brake in a neutral position.
Yeah.
You coach executives as well. What does emotional avoidance look like in real life for an executive?
It's interesting work. Doesn't tend to be as deep, because they're very well established. It's usually a lot of like subtle adjustments. And that kind of shows up in, kind of interpersonal conflicts, like having a hard time working with a peer, things like that, where, they just kind of get a little self-sabotagey.
Okay. And how would they do that? What's an example
Well,
of that?
yeah, just like, it is kind of getting back plugged into that self-preservation mode of like when you're a leader, you really do have to act in the best of everybody in the organization, right?
You should at least, yeah.
Yeah. And so there could be a lot of like petty games that go on or like animosity towards somebody. And so I'm going to like do these other moves to try and work against the other person when you're supposed to collaborate, right? So it's, these like subtle things, there could be jealousies, there could be, maybe somebody has a skill set that I don't have, and maybe I wish I had it, right? That kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, or usually the person they're having a problem with reminds them of one of their parents or something. That's
it's like he had red hair as well.
So it kind of plugs them into a little bit of the deeper emotions that they're really reactive around things when, a good leader is going to be calm and balanced and centered and that kind of thing. So it's just like working through when they get emotionally flooded too. And it's just so much more visible when you're at a higher level.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Is like, you really have to, a lot of times they can have a pretty good poker face, but people can also like feel the energy of that, the tension.
Yeah, true.
Right. So most of the communication is like unconscious, right? It's like, it's not actually what I'm saying. It's like how I'm showing up. It's how I'm interacting.
Yeah.
And people respond to that actually. So if I'm like blocked about something or have some problems going on, the team's going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really about cleaning up the energy and aligning with the organization on like, these are the goals we're heading towards. Because there just might be some of that stuff of like, okay, if I'm plugged into this negative emotion or I'm battling against this person, I'm working against them. And so now that's pulling us off track.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Just being in that right energy state. I think as I'm doing the podcast and doing these things, like now that like just even having people work with me, being more conscious of my own energy to know like, oh, like I'm not feeling well, but then, okay, that's being aware of where I'm at, but then not let that affect the job as well.
Right.
Same thing too, to where there's certain aspects of, coaching or the podcast or anything to where it's like, well, does emotion affect some of these things either way too? Like I need something done, do we even need to involve emotion or not? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's your capacity, right? So, if I have practices that align me pretty well, it's like I'm more resilient, right? I'm
Yeah.
able, and that's the emotional, like resilience is this idea I can work through stress, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like I can be experiencing all these different things pulled in different directions, but I still know where I need to go.
Yeah.
And I'm able to kind of resist that stuff and keep moving forward, right? And so, but some things are just harder than others. Like it depends on what's happened to you, and if you get plugged into big things, it can really throw people into a tailspin. And so that's why we just try to soften that so that it doesn't pull us off track.
Yeah.
But yeah, resilience is that main goal we're after, that you just want to be able to handle the stresses no matter what's going on. And there may be times where they stack up too high and it's a lot tougher to manage. And so it's just being able to notice when that's going on, to take a step back and be like, okay, I have to unpack some of this stuff.
Yeah. Do you think the more you have coached and became in tune with yourself and becoming a coach, that you notice that in others? Because I've noticed that too, just with anyone I work with, that I notice, like, say someone, their performance is just different or they're acting different. I can pick up on it a lot sooner. I'm like, oh, like, are you going through something,
Yeah,
or
generally they are.
something going? Yeah, exactly. Something going on, because like yesterday when I was at work, you weren't acting like this,
Yeah.
and today you were acting different.
Yeah, relationship issues,
Yeah.
financial worries, things like that. It depends on how deep it goes and what they're plugged into. If there's a big wound there, it's going to be calling a lot of their attention, and they're going to be distracted.
With executives and high performers, what do you think are like the top three like biggest problems they face?
Well, I think it is that the workload, right? Like they need to have their eye on a lot of different things, and so the resilience piece is important to be able to stay centered and get through it. Also, leadership style, being able to be in tune with different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have one approach for everybody, because you have like logical thinkers, you have creative thinkers. You have to be able to communicate differently depending on who you're working with.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big opportunity for a lot of people. And it's also the emotional intelligence piece of, I think a lot of leaders have a hard time, okay, I'm like putting this vision out there. This is what we're working towards, but people aren't connecting to it because they might be emotionally blocked to it. Right. So I might be like trying to force something with somebody, and they might not have skill sets that align with that. And it's this ability to be in tune with your team, and understanding, what their strengths are, not trying to put people in their weaknesses constantly. Because
Yeah.
when you put somebody in their weaknesses, now that's where we have bigger emotional reactions. That's where we have a lot of distractions, because they're not feeling good about what they're doing. And so they're going to be sabotaging things, right?
Yeah,
And
makes
they're going
sense.
to be
Yeah.
harder to work with. There's going to be a lot of resistance there. And so it's knowing people at a deep level, so that you can put them in the right spots for success.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, especially if I was using an example of like if someone isn't big into like contribution, that's one of their top needs. They don't feel like they're not super inspired about reaching out and helping people per se, which I think most people do, but I'm biased because I value that. If you put someone in charge of a charity, then they might be like, what do I care about those people?
Yeah.
Like what about me?
Yep.
Like you said, they're
Yes.
emotionally blocked, or they just have different needs in how they think
Yeah,
about things.
knowing what drives them, that kind of thing. You got to kind of know who you're working with, and you can't just put anybody in any position. You got, because that might be the worst thing you can do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally agree. The moment you realized discipline was not the answer, what did you see that changed how you coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is just this emphasis on doing all the time, of like I need to be productive. I need to do all this work. But if I'm like acting from the place of, like I said, we're talking about like low self-worth, I'm going to be doing things unconsciously that are going to be counteracting what I'm trying to accomplish. Right. And so it is like, it's the locked up, stuck energy from the past that doesn't allow people to move forward. Right. So discipline is like, yeah, I can go through the motions all day, every day, but am I like tapped into the belief that these things are possible for me if I put the work in, right? So a lot of people give up on their dreams, right? Like it's just like they they don't know that if you just like stick with it and work through the blocks, like you'll eventually get there, right?
Yeah.
And and so it's like yeah, you could be putting in the work in, but if I'm like plugged into this isn't going to work out and I'm not good enough and all that stuff, that's not going to be sustainable. So it is just that shift of like, yes, I need to put the work in, but then I also need to continuously align with what I'm doing, and that's my second framework
Okay.
is that piece of yeah, it's not a straight line. We all think it is, and we all think it should be, but it's a self discovery journey. Like you, if you're growing,
Yeah.
uh, you need to be putting the actions in, but you also need to be evolving your mindset to align up with what you're trying to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? And so it needs to be happening on both ends of it. Otherwise, if we're just putting the work in with discipline, I might just do the same things over and over again, right? And I need to be dynamic with things, being like, okay, this isn't working anymore. I need to shift gears now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, once you set a foundation, we always want to cling to that because that's like safety. That's what I know. But growth is this continuous like journey into the unknown of like ongoing discovery and learning more about yourself and learning more about whatever subject matter you're focused on, that kind of thing. You just keep going deeper into it. But if I'm just stuck at the basics, that's not going to get me very far. And a lot of times, especially in the coaching industry, there, I think a lot of people try to dive in too quick, rather than developing their skill sets. So, they're trying to do like group coaching and events and like speaking and all, and they haven't worked with enough people. They don't understand themselves enough that they don't create that congruence of that authenticity of, hey, like these are the things I practice and live, and these are the results I know how to create. And this is matter of fact to me because I've done that so many times that I don't even have to think about it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But people like, they might feel the pressure of like, okay, I'm doing this career and I need to have all these things figured out. But a lot of it's this ability to figure it out along the way.
Mhm.
And that's like not needing it to be something it's not too quickly, right?
Yeah.
It's like growing into things rather than like, oh, like this coach is doing all this, so I need to be there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a comparison can be a big trap.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely feel that or am aware of that doing the podcast. I mean, I can look at and be aware of even the podcast we're doing at the moment compared to the first podcast I did.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we do the podcast, we sit down and say, well, what didn't? Being dynamic, trying new things. That was okay. This wasn't so good. What can we do to make things better? And I think the more I have learned what area of the business I need to focus on, and more importantly, what tasks do I need to focus on daily to move the needle, not just with the podcast, but in my life in the direction that I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I created what's called the One Thing Journal. And people listening to this, if you want a copy of it, basically it's a journal I created to where it helps you focus on what one thing a day can help you move the needle the most and focus on what's important. So if you go to my Instagram, Jake Paul Turner, follow me, DM me the word journal and podcast, I'll send you a free sample. While we're at it, how can people find you, get your services, get connected with you? Because I'd love them to do that as well.
Yeah. So if you're interested in this work, you can visit my website, brandonthielk.com. So it's THIELK. You can schedule a free 30-minute strategy session with me. I just get a little background on you, figure out what you've got going on and share how I can help. And then, I offer packages based on whatever your situation is. So, we work on a lot of relationship issues, career growth, high performance type things. But yeah, also if you just got some deep pain that you're stuck with, we work on that too. So,
Okay, awesome. Yeah, great. Check them out. Also, too, glad to have you here. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Really helps the podcast, gets these messages out to people. Even if it affects one person, it's worth it. When you stop chasing professional baseball, what identity died and what identity was born?
yeah, I think it was the not good enough stuff, right?
Yeah.
I had taken that as far as it could go. And, I had to, figure out why I thought that way and get to the bottom of it and shift to something better, right? And so that's a big part of what I teach is helping people form self-compassion for themselves. It's just like we've all been through things, we tend to all be very hard on ourselves, right? Our biggest critic. And so it's really about allowing yourself to make mistakes, because it was all built on perfectionism, things like that. And once again, that kind of locks you into a high anxiety mode.
Yeah.
And so it's just really creating freedom to make progress, right? So the new identity is like, yeah, I'm pretty unstructured. I take a lot of risks. I like put myself out there in new ways. I'm not really too attached to things needing to be a certain way. And it's just like this ongoing growth process, and I just keep getting better and better at what I do, and it expands pretty naturally, right? And so it's just this being very in tune with where I'm at and not needing to be somewhere else, right?
I think you said something really important earlier too, that when it comes to like habits or outcomes, it's everyone has the same outcome, especially in baseball, right? People want to win, right? But what's going to separate everyone is the mindset, right? And those daily things you're doing, that's going to create the outcomes. So like, why not focus on those daily things that's actually going to get you to the outcome versus if you just focus on the thing without a plan and don't change what you're doing day to day, it's like you're never going to get that outcome. So that's what everyone's trying to do. Everyone wants to win.
Yeah.
You know, generally speaking, in life or whatever area they're trying to accomplish. But it's those daily tasks is what separates everybody.
Yeah, I'm very process oriented. It's just the results take care of themselves, right? If you're doing the right things, if you're consistent, and consistency is the piece. Like I really do need to put some attention on this on a regular basis. I need to get stronger in my approach with it over time. A lot of things we need to build momentum with them. So it's just like, I don't want to take on too much on the front end. And now I'm trying to figure out all these details. It's just like bite-sized pieces. And I like the journal idea, right? It's just like, let's integrate one little step you can take, and you just keep building off of that. And the further along you get, the easier it is. Right. And if you're doing that, like you're in the skill development piece where you're just bringing everything to a higher level, and good things are going to come from that regardless.
It's true.
And so detaching is detaching from outcome that really maintains like our confidence too, of like, I can't, with the athletes I work with, a lot of times I work with a lot of triathletes, and it's not like podium or nothing. It's like, no, like you actually made progress in all these other areas. Right. So it's just like, those are things we can feel good about, that we can continue to build from. And then it did also expose some weaknesses. So we might need to bring some attention over there. Right.
Yeah.
And so you start to stabilize when you're in the process, because now you're getting constant feedback every day.
Right.
Of like, okay, what's going well? What needs to improve? Right. And then what needs to improve, we just give that a little bit more attention and energy. And we might need to go deeper into our knowledge. We might need to practice more, whatever it is. But it's just really this idea that the outcome is a distraction. Right.
Yeah.
Like if I pin everything on that, because a lot of times I project out, like if I'm, once again, this goes back to the not feeling good enough, where if I have the result now, that's going to, what's going to make me valuable and worthy. Right.
Yeah.
And so I always think that the outcome is going to fix all my problems.
Yeah.
And that's never true.
No, no, it's not.
And so it's the process and who you become in that process. That's what creates the great life, right? That's what creates the results, is that stability and that consistent action.
Yeah, it makes you think of like, I want to find a wife, right? But just focus on just that isn't just going to get me to that end goal, right? To where I could be focused on what can I do to make myself the best possible partner, whether it's my health, my finances, my mindset, my energy, and going through the process of dating and doing those things, and the outcome will eventually take care of itself. Either way, even if I didn't find a wife, look at the person you become in the process. Right. It's a win-win either way.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
And
yeah, I think dating specifically, people struggle with that. They're very like fixated on, I need the person, but I always say like, become the person that somebody would want to be with, right?
Right. That's like the first reel I had that blew up, basically, like saying that, right?
Yeah.
But someone can kind of sound like McDonald's advice, but it's true, right? I mean, I would never expect a partner or a friend or a colleague to be something that I was not per se, or not able to do or be.
It wouldn't make for a very good relationship, right?
No.
Well, and yeah, it does seem like kind of a surface level like cliche, but it's like I think you take it that step deeper of like, what does that actually mean? Okay.
Yeah.
That means, yeah, I get my career in order. That means like I take care of my health. All the aspects you listed, like that's how you put that into practice. Right.
Yeah. It's like I need someone who's really good in nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
like really knows nutrition. But I'm going to eat like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make any sense at all. Modern dating.
Well, that's when we're plugged into those old stories and
Exactly.
and the emotions. Like that's the type of thinking we have, right? It's not
Yeah.
very rational.
Yeah. It's not in tune with reality, and reality will give you feedback. I mean, you can see like, well, what's working and what's not, and then just realizing, okay, this isn't working over here, then whatever was happening, let's try something different. That's myself or someone I choose or whatever, and get something to work. You say that confidence is not positive thinking. It's feeling honestly. Why do people hate that?
Well, yeah, everybody I think we're all trained to just keep pushing forward, right? But if you're not learning from all your mistakes, if you're not learning through that process, I'm just using old, outdated ideas and trying to continuously apply it, right? And so the feeling part is what's uncomfortable for most people. But if we just view feeling as that's data, right? That's my system telling me what I'm in conflict with. That's my system telling me what needs to be resolved. That's those if I'm built on a house of cards, right? It's like that's not sustainable. That is going to fall apart pretty easily.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But so we have to we build ourselves from the inside out. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is through habits, but it is through our mindset. It's our relationship to ourselves. Like, am I like a people pleaser? Like, do I let people walk all over me? Like all that stuff. That's not going to allow you to stay on track. Right. And so I need to explore why I do those things to begin with. Right. Because that's what's sabotaging me. If I feel like I need to overpower other people and manipulate situations and lie and cheat and all those things, like they're different expressions, but it's like, well, that's not sustainable either.
Right.
That's eventually going to fall apart as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like anything you want to build it for the long haul. And what's cool is when that's that constant daily feedback we're talking about is it's actually how you feel is an important piece of data on like, okay, yeah, what am I avoiding? What am I procrastinating on? If I have this bigger vision, like, do I believe that's even possible for me, or am I just telling people to make myself feel better about myself? Right? It's like you just get real with yourself,
right? Yeah,
and then that's where the real work is, and then that's how you build everything, right? And so, we think confidence has to come from results. It like comes from just being a rock solid person that you're in integrity, where what you say and what you do are in alignment, right? And you can willingly face the challenges in your life and you can grow through them rather than shut down and avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with that, unfortunately, there's no growth. Not that I think everyone has areas where they shut down and sometimes they can, and people can get overwhelmed, but yeah, just sticking to things and building. And I can say like the last year and a half or so, like I've become very sure like who I am as a person. And when you're deeply like secure and know who you are, people really can't touch you.
Yeah.
People can say whatever they want. People can do whatever they want. They can say you're doing this for this reason or do that, or people can have whatever actions. But you can't be shook because you're unshakable. And it's a great place to be.
It's awesome.
I wish I could just get that into people as well, and I think,
well, and it is just like a process though. It took you X amount of years to get to, and there's always like little blind spots, but,
yes.
And it's just like the ownership that, we all have insecurities. We all have, and it's just like, we try to hide them.
Yeah.
And then now we don't learn anything. We don't grow because it's just like, I'm just trying to hide this piece, but it's like, if I just face it and work through it, I can turn those insecurities into security, right? I can like build this solid version, but I have to be addressing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the things that we don't address that kind of eat away at us.
Yeah.
And if there's too much of that stuff, you are going to shut down. You're not going to be able to move forward.
Yeah. I think it fits my personality a lot. Like like coaching, I always think like I have an anesthesia background as well. Like I look at a patient, I want to protect them. You know, I think the same way, like my friends or people I'm in close relationship with, I want to protect them. And I think a great way to make people feel safe is the more safe you are in yourself, because then you're just like, I'm safe. You know, it's like if you're around someone who is scared, you might make someone else feel scared. Like, oh, what are you scared about? You know, and it's like, oh, you know, some people don't even know, you know, subconsciously, right? But if you're secure and safe who you are as a person, then other people will feel safe around you too.
Yeah, it's that calm energy, right? That like I'm comfortable in who I am, so I'm not judging you, right?
Right.
It's like that kind of like, because once again, it's that all the little dynamics behind what's said that people pick up on. So it is just being able to be comfortable in your own skin and relaxed, and that's can be an uphill battle. It does take some time to get there, but it's probably the most worthwhile journey there is.
Yeah.
Because like once you get that clicked in, now you can kind of go wherever and you're carrying that with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely helpful. Like I said, even like you said, going somewhere, like when I travel, it's easy too, because then you're going someplace new or experiencing something new in life. You know, you're growing, you're going to the unknown. You can feel safe. You're good. And like, I never met you before until today. Like, I feel like very comfortable talking to you. Like, I feel like we have a pretty good conversation. Just like never even met before, but just like,
Yeah, it's a good vibe.
yeah, no judgment. Just like, I'm in probably a little bit of flow state from our just getting out of another podcast. But yeah, it's just,
Well, I'm actually known for taking last minute trips, and I'll be taking
Are you?
one. So I always just book stuff the day before.
you're leaving tonight
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and it's either going to be Puerto Rico or Panama City in Panama.
Let's go. If I don't have a podcast, I'd say let's go.
Yeah, I book like last minute trips to Europe and stuff. And
That's awesome.
It's like, oh, it'll work out. Like it's just like a lot of trust in myself.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, yeah, whatever happens, like it'll be fine. Like I don't think it's a big deal. So
I'm the same way. And like, how do people react when you do that? Because like, I usually have people are like, what?
yeah, everybody's like, you didn't plan anything. I'm like, no, like, you know, you can buy a last minute ticket. You can buy a last minute hotel.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like,
you ever been stuck at the airport? They make you do it anyway.
yeah. It's like stuff happens, and you know, I like the adventure of it. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not a huge planner because I like to just stay very open and see where life leads me. And so if I'm inspired by something, I give myself the freedom to pursue it. Right. You know, and it is just building that safety within yourself where you really just trust yourself. No matter what happens, you'll be okay. And yeah, it's being comfortable in your own skin, and also being able to develop people skills so that you can, if you need help, like you can maneuver situations and stuff.
Yeah, you can ask for help when if you don't.
Yep.
I'm kind of between. Like, I like to be spontaneous because I'll plan a little bit. If it's somewhere new I've never been, I'll be like, oh, like what's cool? I want to like do some cool things, you know. But I remember, I don't know when, went to Hawaii like a month ago, and talking to the hotel guy or wherever I stayed, they had to call me because my credit card didn't get through or something. You know, the expiration date was wrong or something. And he's just like, how are you gonna be here? Who are you gonna be with? You know, like, you just decided like today to go. I'm like, yeah, you know, like I can't, like, that's wild. You know, it's like, it really is not that, I don't think it's that wild, you know, but like, I want to take a vacation. Yeah, let's go. You know, let's talk about your second framework. You touched on it a little bit. What is active alignment?
Yeah. So active alignment's this idea that I want to be continuously aligning with this brighter future. So, you know, first I kind of need to have an idea of where I want to head. And, you know, that doesn't have to be super specific, especially if you're early in the process. You know, we just might want some sort of improvement in a specific area, like dating or, you know, health, nutrition, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
Dirt bikes. I love dirt bikes.
yeah. Dirt bikes.
Yep.
And, you know, so it's this idea of aligning is like trying to find the flow with things rather than force your way through them. Right?
Okay.
And so we're taking our body and our nervous system with us everywhere, and it's always communicating data to us as we're talking about. And so resistance is an indication that there's some sort of stress. So, so this like integrates with the lightning process, which I addressed earlier.
Yeah.
Where I need to have some sort of thing I'm shooting for, and this is a brighter future. And yeah, so as I'm taking steps towards that, I'm going to be encountering some resistance in the body, right? So my mind knows what it knows. It knows my past. So anytime I'm doing something new, there's going to be some insecurities that come up. There's going to be resistance. There's unknowns. Like I might need some new knowledge, skills, abilities, whatever it is. And so as I focus on this thing and I start to move in that direction, I'm going to be confronted with myself. Okay. And that's my past.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so as I take those steps, that resistance is going to show up and my mind is going to try to go back to safety, which is what I know.
Okay.
So, and this is where we try to use like the old tricks on the new thing. Right?
Oh, yeah. And that goes really well.
Where, everybody just kind of has these patterns they operate in. And they think if they just keep doing the same things will be different, but they won't.
But if I try really hard this time.
So we have this brighter future and everything that's currently going on, that's my current identity.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I need to become somebody else, right? I need to form new habits, new thought patterns to align with this new thing. And so as I take steps, I'm going to be confronted. My mind's going to be feeding me ideas of my past that are in conflict with what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, like, no, that's not you. You know, like lies.
Yeah.
You know, trying to protect ourselves, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the inner critic. So it's us trying to protect ourselves because it's not what we know. It's what's safe, right?
Yeah.
And so it's getting to that place. So I have to, every step I take, I have to know that that's going to come up. That's part of the process. And I have to keep working through it, right? And so New Year's resolutions don't work most of the time because everybody's like, I'm making this change and I'm just going to go take these steps. And then they shut down after a week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's because they're giving themselves too many new things and it's overloading their mind and their subconscious doesn't support it. So there's internal conflicts going on. And so we're trying to, as I take the steps, once again, I'm like, I continuously connect to who I want to be. I continuously kind of think about like, how would that version of me behave? How would that version of me carry myself? And so as I take the steps and I'm confronted with obstacles, that's where I stop and pay attention. Okay, what are the stories? What's going on? What am I telling myself? What do I feel? And that's just all communication to try and stay safe.
Okay.
Okay. So I have to take risks. Okay. And a risk is simply me stepping into the unknown and I don't have new data for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as I take the steps, I work through the tension every step of the way. So I'm oriented to this. I'm stepping into it. Things are going to come up. I have to continuously realign with the new version. Okay. So what new steps do I need to take from this place?
Okay.
Right. And that might be contradictory to what my mind's telling me.
Yeah.
And it pretty much will be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so we always have to, it's good to set reminders, have things around the house that remind you of like the things you're working on. But it's like, as I know I'm going to hit these obstacles, I want to pay attention to what I feel. I go into that lightning process. I try to get some information. I try to create some safety. And then I just align with, okay, what would the new version of me, what step would that person take? Right?
Yeah.
And I just keep doing that. And I know that every step of the way, there's going to be new things that come in to challenge me to grow, but I'm outgrowing my old identity. So I need to disprove the old stories.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's always like one step forward. It's not two steps back, but it can feel that way because as I have a breakthrough, now I'm going to be confronted with the next thing I need to learn in order to keep the progress going. Right. And so I'm going to be reminded of the old stories. I'm going to be reminded of all the old pain and wounds. And so I want to go in and try and reconcile that stuff and make peace with it so that I can feel free to wander back into the unknown, do some new things, right? Because they're just insecurities coming up.
Yeah.
And it's trying to protect you. But if we give into them, now we just fall back into what we've always done. Right. So it's just continuously keeping it front and center. Like, what direction am I heading? Who do I need to become, and making the adjustments that are aligning with that version. And so that's why coaching is helpful.
Yeah.
Reading like inspirational books, people that have accomplished big things that in reference to what you're trying to accomplish, if it's more specific to you, that's helpful because now you can start to see this path. And so they leave clues on what that path is.
Right. Exactly. Success leaves clues, right?
And so we're going to have our own version, of course, but it is just this continuous realignment, and I'm shedding my old identity. So I literally have to become somebody new. I literally have to think differently. I literally have to behave differently. And so I need to create the safety to let things go so that my mind's not battling me every step of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it then will build confidence and momentum as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it just boils down to if you want your life to change, you got to change.
Mm-hmm.
And because, it's like everywhere you go, like there you are,
Yeah,
and it's just like you can't live a different life, have different outcomes, different expectations if you don't change yourself. And I think that's why working on yourself and investing in yourself is one of the best things you can do, because you can completely change everything, even in a short amount of time, and then let alone over a couple decades. Your life will be vastly different.
Well, and that's the thing. If you want it faster, you have to invest in that, right? Like it's like finding somebody who has that specialty that can like speed up your path, right?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest piece that most people struggle with is timeline.
Yeah.
Everybody wants things faster than they actually happen. Right?
Yeah, true.
And the way you speed it up is generally with financial resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because whatever I need to learn, there's somebody that already knows it, right?
True. Yeah.
And so it's just kind of opening your mind to those possibilities as well. Like maybe I don't have to do it all alone.
Right.
Maybe there's some like very specific support that could really accelerate things for me.
Definitely.
And I think, because a lot of people I think they ask for help from the wrong people too. Like maybe like their friends or, people that have never like set out or done what they want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so it's all bad advice. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's getting specific advice that's tailored to you. And it does help to have that support of somebody kind of like, hey, like you just have to trust me. It's going to be okay. Like, cause they're going to be going through anxieties, doubts, all that stuff. And so it's having somebody that can guide you, is an invaluable resource, and it can really, it's just like, what's the price on like actually becoming the person you want to be? Like, I don't know. Like it's,
yeah. Well, yeah. And then like that, that in its sense can be helpful to get people to invest, or like even with sales, it's like, if you're trying to accomplish like a great thing, like, the triathlon people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your clients, like if they had to put a price on it, like what would it mean to you if you knew 100% for sure you could win a triathlon?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know, like $100,000.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, but you won't invest $5,000 to become that person.
Yeah, or like the dating stuff with you want to find a wife, or,
right? What do you put a price on it?
It's like, like that would really solidify a big area of your life, right?
Right, right. Not needed, right?
Yeah.
But if you could save time, you get some tools, and I think where a coach is helpful too, finding someone you connect with, right?
Yeah.
But having someone one-on-one who can see blind spots you can't see. You can't see them. That's why they're called blind spots.
Right.
To where someone can point out, hey, look, and unfortunately, I wish it would work this way, but it doesn't. If people don't pay, they don't pay attention. They're not invested in even what you're saying. That's why you can be scrolling through social media and see a bunch of advice. And even if it's good advice, like, oh, I'm not going to take it. You're not invested in it. On top of it's probably showing you stuff that you shouldn't be seeing anyway. It's usually they feed you a lot of negative nonsense to keep you locked in.
Yeah.
They're not going to show you one thing that 30 seconds makes you feel really good and gets you off the app. That seems like a bad strategy in my perspective, where a coach could say something in one sentence that could completely change how you think about yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty regular thing when somebody comes see me that I like shine a light on some things they haven't seen their entire life. Right.
Right.
It's just like, I can do that in an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
yeah. You could do it in a moment, honestly. Like
that's it. Sometimes it is 5 minutes. So it's like, this is like a piece that you're not seeing that's like affecting everything.
Yeah.
But like once we like look at it now, like the whole game changes, right?
Yep.
And so you could struggle with it alone forever, or somebody that's trained to see those things. Just like a good like business person that's like created a bunch of successful businesses as a consultant, they can go in and see the problems right away, and like there's tremendous value in that, right? But it's like speeding up the process, but it is getting out of your comfort zone of like, okay, I think this problem's personal and nobody understands it.
Yeah.
That's what blocks a lot of people, but these are all common issues. Like we all struggle with them, but there's people that have like dug in and mastered those things.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or the expectation you're not supposed to have any problems, especially when you're growing, you're going towards the unknown, new problems are going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be problems you've never experienced before. I think you are wise to gain counsel from people to, you're going to learn about problems from your own experience, obviously, but if you can gain experience from people who have already had those problems, you can avoid those problems and all that pain in the future as well too. So that's why, I mean, obviously we're both coaches. We understand the value in it, but that's why I like using a coach in every aspect of my life, because it's not needed, but it's helpful.
Well, and it's the right fit is important though,
Yeah.
because you have to be able to trust somebody, you have to be able to be vulnerable with them, that
course.
kind of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, there are like not good versions of everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep,
so
exactly.
sometimes you have to get burned a couple times before you find the right one. It doesn't mean the right one's out there.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. What are the most common identities people cling to, and what are they afraid will happen if they let go?
Yeah, so I think like the kind of victimhood type stuff
Okay.
of, something happened to them one time a long time ago and they can't really get past it. And so they're kind of like eternally powerless. That's a common one. Or if it could go the opposite direction. If somebody's been really hurt by something and they're very ambitious or driven, they could kind of shift into, it's a victimhood, but now they're like on the taker side, right? Where
Okay.
they're like lying, cheating, manipulating, that kind of thing. But it's still built on the wound.
Okay.
Of like something was done to me, and so like I deserve to be able to do this to other people because it was done to me. That kind
I
of thing.
see.
You get those dynamics.
Yeah, someone cheated on me, so I can cheat.
Yeah. It's kind of
Oof,
like
that's tough.
so the identity is always like wound up in some sort of pain or wound from their past, and until they go in and address that and take accountability for like, okay, this is holding me back, this is locked in me, I need to find peace with it. Like it is just going to be an identity, right?
Yeah.
Like it is, because these are like core issues that you like build your life on.
Yeah.
Okay. And so until you get to the core of it, it's going to be expressing itself many different ways. And so, yeah, that could be, some people that have been taken advantage of. It's like, I always get screwed over. Right. And so then they stop trusting people. And, there's different expressions of it, but it's always going to be, they're locked into some sort of wound of like something happened to me and they can't move past it. And so they're not moving forward in certain areas of their life because they're just like stuck in that pain.
Yeah.
And so once you go back and address it, it's just, a lot of it is, it's like, well, okay, this happened to you like 50 years ago sometimes, it's like, you're still here. Like you're still breathing, right?
Yeah.
There's some things you can shift, but you have to create the safety for somebody to let that go. And yeah, the not good enough stuff, it can just be like the people that don't even try, right? Like
Yeah.
they just can't move forward with anything. And so they settle into like a life that they're just on autopilot. Right. So there's so many different expressions. It's just up to the individual, how you've internalized what's happened to you. And if it's not working, if it's creating more pain and suffering for you, like you probably need to do some work there.
Yeah. It's like some of these identities that are disempower, like, well, I'm a loser, or like I've been through a lot. Like you said, that I'm not enough, which I always don't like that one, because then usually the second part's like, then I don't deserve love.
Yeah.
When I think on the contrary, like love can help so many things. If people really just approach life in a way of just sharing love and being loving towards others, I think it would fix a lot of things. But making ourselves feel loved first, it's not always an easy task, and figuring that out. I think healing too, it's important to note that it's not just time that heals. You think about like a regular wound, a physical wound. If you're like, oh, I'll just wait 2 months, it's not the time that is healing the wound. It's all the processes that is happening inside your body to heal the wound.
Well, and any healing process is a perception shift. Okay. So my mind's fixated on something in a certain way, and it keeps like creating more and more of the same pain. Okay. So I need to be able to see the situation differently in a more neutral light. Right. Once again, that's a depersonalizing, detaching from it. That's freeing up the mental space, also frees up the body space. Okay. Like it's a feedback loop. Okay. So
Makes sense, yeah.
if I'm focused on something and I'm telling myself this terrible story, that's always going to feel terrible. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have to be able to see the situation differently. And then that it starts to loosen up. And once again, I'm not going from absolute negative to absolute positive, I'm like climbing the ladder.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
What's one thing I can actually buy into that might actually make me feel better about this?
Yeah.
Right. It's just a tiny step. And then as you keep taking those steps, it gets easier and easier. And now you can start to stretch it further because it's just like, oh, like I'm on the right track now. I used to feel this way. Now I'm this way. Right. And so I know if I just keep heading in this direction, I'll be able to heal this thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, it's not rushing the process and really time itself, like, yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's the perception shift that does. I need to be able, with time and space, I might be able to see it differently, easier, but I need to be doing that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I picture it like you're in a hole and climbing out. Like say there's a ladder in it, right? Someone drops a ladder down. Well, at least get up to the ground, the solid ground. You have to keep climbing the ladder if you don't want to, but at least getting out of the hole,
Yeah.
you know, where there's actually light. You're not in this
now
space of darkness.
There's some freedom to roam now. Right?
Yeah, exactly. You look at the grass. Alrighty. So we're at the part of the podcast where I'm going to ask you some random questions.
Sounds good.
A little bit different here. Would you rather have to do finger guns after every sentence or end every sentence with a plot twist?
Plot twist.
Would you rather have a robot vacuum that follows you like a loyal pet or a smart speaker that answers every question with sarcasm?
Definitely the sarcasm.
Yeah. I think I'd probably set mine to that, honestly.
That'd be a lot easier. Yeah.
That'd be super helpful. I couldn't resist. Would you rather only be able to communicate in movie quotes or only be able to communicate in song lyrics?
Probably movie quotes, I guess.
Movie quotes?
Yeah.
We could try it real quick. What's your favorite movie quote?
Well, I guess now that I'm on the spot, nothing's coming up.
All right. I'll be back. Oh, this is a good one. All I can think of is Terminator ones.
Yeah. Hasta la vista.
Yeah, there you go. What's the worst job you've ever had? Don't say coach.
Well, I did paint for my dad for a while.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a family business a little bit. That was pretty hard, but when I was kind of struggling with baseball, part-time I delivered popcorn.
Oh, wow.
Where it was like my old coach, he had like a business where he sold like popcorn machines and supplied the popcorn to like car dealerships and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it was just some like random thing where I was just like, this is kind of stupid, but I guess I need the money, you know?
People need popcorn. What is a habit you have that would confuse your younger self?
I guess because I'm like very zen now, right?
Yeah.
Because I've like meditated so much, but I used to be like super fiery, right?
Okay.
'Cause I was like anger and things like that, right? So I think like it's just like night and day.
You're like, what are you, relaxing?
Yeah, so like I don't know if I would understand that at that level.
How dare you? What is something you're secretly competitive about?
I've killed a lot of my competitiveness.
Is that what you're competitive about? Killing your competitiveness?
It's possible. Yeah, I think you go down to like the spiritual rabbit hole and you're just like, oh, you like let go of a lot of stuff. But it's like I guess like card games and stuff I could probably there is that part of me where like I definitely want to win, but I don't like get bent out of shape about it anymore and stuff.
Like what card game? Like poker or
Yeah.
Uno?
Yeah, Uno
Can ruin
definitely.
some friends.
Yeah, Uno gets pretty heated. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw down the reverse card.
Yeah.
I got a dad joke for you. What do you call a janitor who's always smoking weed?
What?
High maintenance.
That's a good one.
I usually slip it in with a real story, but I forgot. All right. Actually, a couple more questions for you that I'm just curious about. I have in here. What is semi-burnout?
Semi burnout. I guess it's like a lot of irritations.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of being annoyed a lot.
Okay.
Just little things bothering you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
I saw that you'd put that in there, so that's cool. All right. So these are my favorite questions here. If you had a chance to go back and talk to 9-year-old Brandon, what would you say to him?
Oh, I guess yeah. Just it's all going to be okay. Yeah, it was a lot of inner turmoil at that time, and yeah, you just kind of feel like sometimes it's never going to get better, and it always does.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Awesome. All right. Last question. What is the one thing you've done that has made the biggest difference in your life?
I just really try to hold that space of non-judgment for people. And it's people like share like crazy things with me all the time, like strangers and stuff. And I think one of the most valuable things we can do for anyone is to just like witness them in non-judgment and just be with them. Because a lot of people have a pretty intense inner world, and nobody's there to listen or to hear them or to support them, and that can be incredibly healing to just sit there and let them talk, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, this was great.
Really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.